Welcome in to the PHNX Cardinals Podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. Johnny Venerable Bulbrock, the final day here at Radio Row ahead of Super Bowl 57. And I don't want to say we saved our best for last, but this is the most flippin' loaded PHNX Cardinals show we've ever done for you.
Yeah, nothing comes close to this. We have public enemy number one to the Arizona Cardinals fan base, the once beloved Patrick Peterson.
It's time to heal.
Does he want to reconcile? Yeah, does he want to get back after Steve Keim exited, stage left with this team? And does he back up his comments about Kyler Murray? You're going to be shocked to hear what P2, call him P3. I didn't get to that. I will, no spoilers, but I didn't get to tell him my nickname to him. Did I back down? I just don't think we had enough time.
No. We got some time. We also are going to talk to Rondale Moore. We're going to talk to Kyle Brant. We're going to talk to Josh Weinfuss. But first, I want to talk to you about this coaching search for the Arizona Cardinals that right now has been put on pause. Michael Bidwell issued a statement to Darren Urban at AZCardinals.com, basically saying, like, this week's all about the Super Bowl this weekend, and then we'll restart the coaching search on Monday. But the other teams aren't putting a pause on it, because we got word this morning, Bo, that the Cardinals have lost defensive line coach Matt Burke to the Houston Texans to become their new defensive coordinator.
I mean, the good thing, I guess, with this, the silver lining is it wasn't a lateral move. It wasn't like Greg Williams going to the Packers, their cornerbacks coach, to take the exact same job.
Yeah.
But now, if you're keeping count, is it 4 or 5 coaches that have exited? Not
4 on
including
the defensive side.
Yeah, 4 on the defensive side. Then the tight ends coach who was filling on the offensive line in the absence of Sean Kugler. And then if you count Cliff
Sean
Kingsbury,
Kugler's gone too, by the way.
But still under contract. You know, you've got Vance Joseph. You got your linebackers coach still there. But it's a mass exodus right now. But, you know, congrats to Burke. He was one of the more well-respected coaches. His group, of course, with the resurgence right before he retired and J.J. Watt and the emergence of Zach Allen in a contract year, putting up a career high in sacks, and he was batting down, you know, looking like vintage J.J. Swat out there, you know, having a good career before a contract year. That was one of the most impressive groups for a 4-13 team, and Burke was one of the more well-respected guys. After Kugler exited, I think that was probably the guy remaining. In just a lone season with the Arizona Cardinals, he took over for Brinson Buckner, kind of an unknown, but also, as Ian Rappaport pointed out, I mean, this is a guy who's kind of cool off the field, kind of eccentric, the most interesting man in the world, you know, hiking Mount Kilimanjaro in the offseason, always up for an adventure. But now he gets the opportunity to become a DC. You know, maybe that was a guy that the Arizona Cardinals wanted to potentially turn to, but he immediately gets the job from D'Amico Ryans, and D'Amico Ryans isn't stopping there, is he?
No, but before we get to potentially his new offensive coordinator, I thought it was interesting. We found out on Twitter today that the Cardinals had actually blocked Matt Burke from interviewing for parallel lateral jobs as a defensive line coach. They cannot block, nor can any team, an opportunity for promotion. So a position coach going to a coordinator going to a head coach. That's what's happened with Burke. So then you have kind of Vance Joseph hanging out to dry a little bit, unless he's going to be inherited and kept on staff by the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. We know the next head coach will not be Cliff Kingsbury. He has returned from Thailand, right? We got word from our guy Jordan Schultz on set earlier this week. But now, do you one better, according to Jordan and multiple people, Cliff Kingsbury's en route to Houston to interview with newly head coach D'Amico Ryans for the offensive coordinator role there, which is interesting. You know, he's from Texas, close to his hometown, potentially, you know, obviously second overall pick, opportunity to get a young quarterback, just like he did with Kyler Murray. How do you think the fit would be for old Cliff Kingsbury with D'Amico Ryans?
I don't know. I mean, when you look at Texans Twitter, when you look at maybe the national media prognosticators, they've got people who are saying, hey, this is an incredible fit, especially if they're looking at a guy like Bryce Young at number 2 overall. We saw C.J. Stroud out here on Radio Row. I'm impressed by his size. He looks like a true quarterback, one that you would kind of build in a lab, more so where Bryce Young, kind of the untraditional size, like a guy that Cliff Kingsbury just coached in Kyler Murray. But we've seen the offense, right? We know that Cliff Kingsbury can come up with some great concepts, but as far as the adjustments in-game and beyond, when a defensive coordinator, defensive staff, and defensive group kind of get his number, he doesn't play that game of chess, or at least he didn't do it with the Cardinals. He didn't play that game of chess too well. So I think that, you know, unless he's going to have help game planning and scheming and making adjustments, he's still the same guy that often struggled mightily this past season.
It's also funny, DeMeco Ryans' defense manhandled Cliff Kingsbury's offense in the NFC West. So, I mean, who knows? We don't know if Cliff's going to get the job. We're not anti-Cliff Kingsbury. We're rooting for him to have success. Michael Bidwell's probably rooting for him to have success so he doesn't have to pick up the $7 million a year tab that he's on the hook for every year Cliff Kingsbury's out of coaching. But we want to move on to our guy, Rondale Moore, who had an opportunity to sit down with Bo and myself to talk about Cliff Kingsbury among, this head coaching search, his relationship with Kyler Murray. Let's check out Rondale.
Excited for Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Rondale Moore to join PHNX Cardinals. You can see him, of course, each and every game for the Cards, or you can see him maybe on Hardy and Priest or Elliott out there at the Circle K, Rondale. I mean, that's where you're frequenting by the facility, not to give up too many of your secrets.
Yeah, no, we've got some good things in the work. So, we've been working together for a while and just trying to get some different things figured out. But it was cool for it to actually come full circle, because obviously growing up in Indiana, there was a frequent place of mine that I would stop by to get, Gatorade, my coffee, or even just like a big jug of water before I go work out. So it was cool for it to come back full circle and us to kind of figure out a way to relate to each other and make this thing work.
There's the videos of you, squatting 600 pounds?
Was that me or Rondale?
No, not you.
Okay.
I did touch you, but it was the guy that can actually squat 600 pounds. Were you fueled by Circle K?
Yeah, no, you could say that. I think there's some special stuff in the water that helped me. So
I tell my wife my lower body is my cardio, but I don't. I'm allergic to a squat rack. But let's talk about your recovery. So this year, you missed some time, probably didn't go exactly how you wanted to. Tell us right now, you feel good going into next season. You're healthy. You're working towards something different.
Yeah, I'm obviously a few months out. I went on IR. For the growing out of sports hernia. I went to Philly to see Dr. Meyer and got both sides of my groins repaired, and then obviously you guys saw the viral pinky video. So.
And you said you had that for a while and were just getting it fixed?
Yeah, I mean, so I got it fixed in college. I did it in 18, got it fixed in the spring of 19. Obviously ended up redoing the injury. Tore the ligament again. It was pretty stable. I didn't get what I got done this time, but I went to LA to see Dr. Shin and got that fixed and got some pins in there with the internal brace and all that stuff. So we got some stability there. And so I guess 2-3 months out from 2 months out from my groin, and then about a month and some change out from the pinky. So on the up and up from here.
Nice.
Just working towards being healthy, like you said. So I've probably got another month left of legit rehab, and I think I'll be there.
Rondale, for lack of a better phrase, do you feel like you can't catch a break at some times? I mean, dating back to your college days, you've been dealing with some injuries, and it's hamstring, groin, finger, sports hernia.
Yeah, I think it's all part of it, man. You know what you sign up for. But, again, I think that's just a testament to my faith, man. I think it's all written, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and how it's going to plan out, I'm fine with. I know at the end of the day, if I put in all the work and I do everything on my end to make sure it all plans out in the right way and go in the right direction, then I'm fine with however it turns out. So, for me, again, it's just being diligent about my work every day, going to work and being about my business, being extremely hard worker. And again, this isn't just me trying to talk about who I am. I mean, I just try to go every day with the same attitude and just try to be the best person I can. So however it turns out, man, I know at the end of the day I can look in the mirror and say, I gave it my all, and, I put in all the work here, and this is how it turned out for me.
So you're going to have a new head coach next year. Full transparency, Cardinal fans, myself, Bo, we're a little critical of Cliff Kingsbury's usage of you, especially when you see, your deep play against Minnesota 2 years ago, and then last year running down the middle of the field.
That fourth down play against the Rams.
Absolutely. So if I'm your next head coach or whomever it is, right, Joe Blow, are you going to go to that person? Yeah. Are you going to go to that person and say, I would like to be used this way? I think I've got more opportunities to be used, downfield, or is that just something that you hope kind of takes care of itself in practice? Were you, Ed, ever frustrated with your usage under Cliff Kingsbury?
So I'll answer your first question. Going to the coach and demanding this or saying this, no, probably isn't in my character. Again, I'll just, work my tail off in camp, try to prove that, put it on tape. And obviously, you know, throughout the year, there's times, you know, as a receiver, you want the ball and you want things to come your way and you want this and you want that. So I think that's, you know, that's totally natural as part of the game. So being frustrated obviously was, you know, happened week to week. But, you know, again, it's part of it. But again, I think those opportunities will come. So for me, again, just going in, putting my head down, working hard, I think my athleticism and my work will show. So for me, it's just, again, staying consistent, sticking to the script, and going out there and just being the best player I can be.
I think Cliff say that you would text him sometimes, though?
About
just your role?
Nah, I mean, we joke about it a little bit.
So it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, nothing serious.
Yeah, nah, I've never been that guy, man. And
right.
You know, on the other side of things, man, I get it, man. We got D-Hop out there and, you know, all the other talented receivers, man. It's tough, man. We all want the ball.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. So, again, man, I don't fault Cliff or anything like that. You know, it just is what it is. And, you know, for me, again, I just have to continue to work hard and hopefully those opportunities come.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, with DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, yourself, I don't think there was one game where the three of you are on the field at the same time this season when there's going to be so much change within this organization. I mean, you kind of feel like, man, if we could have just gotten out there, like, do you still have that? You want that to see what that looks like? You know, potentially next year, you, Hollywood, D-Hop, Kyler, getting the gang back together? Or are you just getting the gang together for the first time?
Yeah, of course. And then, obviously, we got a ton of playmakers. Zach Ertz, Greg Dortch.
We talked to James Conner. Yeah, Dortch is one of our personal faves.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, obviously, all of us out there, we got a pretty explosive offense and, you know, can make it a defensive coordinator's nightmare. So, obviously, it's something you want to see happen. And, obviously, as a player, you want everyone to be healthy so we can, you know, get the job taken care of. But it was just unfortunate events, man, how it happened. I got hurt. Someone else got hurt. And then it was just, you know, a trickling down effect of obviously one person was always out when someone came back.
It's like D-Hop was coming back. You had Hollywood with foot injury in Seattle. Then, you know, he's coming back. You have the groin injury in Mexico City, right? I mean, it was just bad news.
Yeah.
So you talk about being hurt. I mean, Kyler Murray's been out since his torn ACL. He just had surgery about a month ago. And it'd be naive if we didn't discuss. He's taken some shots here from the media, maybe some ex-teammates. You know, what's your relationship like with Kyler Murray? You've been with him now for 2 years.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll be the first to say I think the narratives are unfair, untrue.
Sure.
Specifically to me, man. He's been great to me, great guy. Obviously, you can come to him with any question, whatnot, whether it's about football, life, whatever it may be. So, you know, it sucks for him. But, again, you know, as a franchise quarterback, more than likely you're going to end up getting the hate. And it sucks. But, again, he's a strong-minded guy, tough guy. So he realizes that it doesn't affect his day-to-day living or how he treats other people. So, again, if anybody's going to get the hate, I think it's fine for him to get it. And I'm sure he feels the same way. Again, he's a really mentally tough person. So I'm sure he doesn't mind it.
We heard he's a big FaceTime guy. Does he FaceTime you ever once in a while?
Yeah, randomly. Random times he's and he just be doing random things, like randomly FaceTime you doing random things, and then they ask you a random question, and then sometimes they're quick, sometimes they're long, just depending on what he has going on. But yeah.
Can you give us an example of a random question?
Like if I post something on my story, he'll call me, not say nothing, look at me, and be like, "Where you got that shirt from?" Or, you know, something crazy like that. So great dude, man.
So we hope you have a head coach next week.
Yeah.
We don't really know at this point. We're in mid-February. It's kind of unheard of waiting this long. Have you been wrapped up in this whole thing? Like Sean Payton one day is interviewing for the job.
Yeah.
You've got Mike Kafka, Lou Anarumo. Like, are you waiting on bated breath, or are you just one of those people like text me when you know?
Yeah. Man, I'm so locked in on just trying to get healthy and be the best player I can be, person I can be, just working hard and letting the guys upstairs do their job while I try to do mine. So, again, that's a little out of my I don't know.
It's above your pay grade a little bit, right?
Yeah, so I kind of just try to do things I can control, man, and that's just working hard.
You like Kyler. I mean, you guys are kind of you're not loud. I mean, you let your actions kind of speak louder than your words, for sure. So when he takes on all this criticism, you know, is that just how we're going to have to see it played back when he returns, when you return? Or do you expect, like, Zach Ertz is coming to his defense. You've said some really nice things about him. James Conner, like, do you expect him at any point, like he did after he signed his contract, to kind of have just a upfront conversation about, hey, where's all this coming from?
I mean, he's never struck me as that guy to be concerned about the narrative and things about in that sort. But, you know, when you attack his character, I think it's appropriate for him to kind of, get in front and just control things before, it gets out of hand. But again, I think it's a testament to myself and his teammates. Like, I guess just talk to us and you'll get the real. So
For sure. My last question, I haven't asked anybody this week, which is crazy because it's something on my mind, Rondale. The team uniforms, right? You got the black helmets last year. Has there been any talk at all about maybe making some tweaks to the threads? They're like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Every other team gets new uniforms every offseason. It's not fair. Have you gone up to Michael B. or some other folks like, hey, are we getting some new uniforms anytime soon? Anything you can share with regard to that?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I don't know nothing. Jersey's a jersey to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Just give you your number 4 and let's get me the rock, right? That's it.
Rock. Let's do it.
Incredible stuff from Rondale Moore. Glad to hear that you're healthy and trending towards a big year 3. Can't wait to see the coaches, but enjoy the rest of your time. Thanks for being an ambassador of our great state of Arizona.
Thank you, guys.
Come back soon, man.
For sure. Thank you.
Thanks to Rondale Moore hopping on the PHNX Cardinals podcast, hopefully for one of future visits with Rondale. But I thought, Bo, most interesting, how could you not, if you're Rondale, be frustrated with your usage? This is somebody who's got legitimate 4.3 speed. Mm-hmm. You look at his career yards per catch under Cliff, 8.9 yards per catch.
Yeah.
Put the injuries aside for a second and just how about get my man some targets downfield?
Right, or in the slot, or take him out of harm's way. Don't give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage where he's dealing with big old linebackers or defensive linemen. Get him in space with those corners, and sure, they can match your speed as far as the speed's concerned, but as far as taking a shot, but really what he's dealing with, you saw it in that game against the Niners, Mexico City. He said he had both sides of his groin worked on.
Yep.
For a sports hernia. That's a brutal thing, and he's been dealing with the pinky issue. He's got that hopefully cleared up. He's a couple months, as he told us, off from really finishing up and being able to kind of get out there and continue this rehab.
Yeah.
But they pile up, and one of the things we haven't really heard is he going to approach it. He says he's going to try to be the same guy, and injuries happen, but he's going to continue to just put in the work and hope just having better luck. It's really interesting, both of those things that have, I don't know if plagued him the first 2 years of his career, but at some point doing the same thing over and over again, it's the definition of insanity. As far as role, we had big expectations for Rondale Moore coming into this season, and I felt when he pulled his hamstring before week 1, they tried to kind of shoehorn that in, him coming back, even though Greg Dortch was playing so well in the slot and making big plays. Why didn't they put him in a more comfortable role?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to force that and force feed him.
I don't want to be ridiculous here, but he's not a big guy.
Right.
And I think it's ridiculous his usage so close to the line of scrimmage where, I don't know, the big people are in the NFL. We were just talking about it off air. It's crazy for somebody his stature, and it's commendable for him to be able to play this game at a high level when he is healthy and effective. Move him outside. Get him downfield. It'd be like playing like Deshaun Jackson close to the line of scrimmage. You're not going to last in the NFL. So I'm hopeful that with a scheme change, with a coaching change, whether it's Mike Kafka or whomever, can come in here and help Rondale Moore become the best version of himself. Because, again, when he was at his best against Purdue, he was torching the Ohio States of the world, right? We've seen him have big plays against Minnesota, against Philadelphia. He has the ability. It was never going to work with Cliff in that system. But, he's the last one standing here, at least right now.
Yeah, and it is really truly unfortunate. I don't think anybody really brings up the fact that you didn't see that quartet in action at all this season. You just didn't. You didn't see Kyler, Moore, D-Hop, and Hollywood Brown. I don't care how bad the Cardinals were in 2022. If you get that opportunity, we don't know what they're going to do with D-Hop. Our guy Jordan Schultz says that he would be shocked if he's back. But if you get that quartet on the field sometimes in 2023. That's going to strike fear, especially if you got a decent play caller making the moves there. We got Jason Krell. Thank you so much, my guy, friend of the show. $1.99 super chat. Dortch, when given the opportunity, made the best of it. He was a better player last year. We're not going to sit here just because we had Rondale on the show and say. And that's not just him compared with Rondale. He was a better player than a lot of guys on this offense. No doubt. He outplayed A.J. Green, right? He outplayed Hollywood Brown at times. I think we can commend Greg Dortch without condemning other players. Yeah, and you hope that the new regime, especially in the front office, is well aware of what he was able to do in minimal snaps in a role that he should have been rewarded with more opportunities than he wasn't. I asked Greg Dortch at the availability before they cleaned out their lockers, is like, are you frustrated with your role? And he said he'd be lying if he wasn't. So the new front office, Greg Dortch obviously coming off of his best year, but it didn't come without frustration. One, because they weren't winning, and one, because he had a diminished role at times. Would he look at this organization as a place, hey, I want to come back?
Yeah, Greg Dortch, my number one free agent for this franchise. Get him re-signed, get him back here. Yeah, over Zach Allen, over Byron Murphy. Give me the guy that's got a chip on his shoulder, that's healthy, right? I get it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm also talking about in relation to what you have to pay Greg Dortch. But we're going to talk to Patrick Peterson here in 1 minute, but I want to remind everybody, Super Bowl 57 is just 2 days away. There's no better place to be right now wagering on the big game than the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And get geared up on DraftKings, by the way. Kevin Durant, hello, have you heard, is a Phoenix Sun. Dabble on a little Suns action as they wrap up their East Coast road trip, coming back to the Valley. KD coming back right after the All-Star game, we hope. But in the meantime, dabble on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code PHNX. Guess what? $5, any $5 bet on Super Bowl 57 is going to net you $200 in bonus bets instantly. You don't even have to win your bet. You can place a 5-spot right now on the spread, the money line, all of the many props, the Gatorade color, the coin flip, whatever you want to do. Just go to Super Bowl 57 portion of DraftKings, lay a 5-spot down if you're a new customer. Promo code, you guessed it, PHNX. $200 in bonus bucks to begin spending immediately. 5-spot, and then you can go reinvest, but you can only do it at DraftKings Sportsbook, only with promo code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. I give you my DraftKings pick of the week with regard to the Arizona Cardinal head coaching search, but that has been long removed because I think even the folks in Vegas don't know what the hell is going on.
Is it back up on DK?
It's not.
Okay.
It's been scrubbed from the internet like Kyle Murray's social media. So I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles money line. Fly, Eagles, fly. Hassan Reddick, we're rooting for you. And only at DraftKings you can get that good deal.
Once you can cash in on that, I think that you can go cash in on some of the best beer in Arizona. Actually, time's running out for you to stock up for your Super Bowl party. What are you doing? You got to get out there. And you don't have to go to H Street in Tempe to the Four Peaks Brewing Company, but you probably should. They've got their bar out there with some refrigerators with their great beer right there available for you, but you can go to the grocery store. You can go to your convenience store. What's your favorite beer? Kilt Lifter, Hop Not IPA. How about your Hazy, the Joy Bus? Wow, the number one.
I like the seltzer. What's the seltzer called?
They don't have a seltzer any longer. I think they discontinued it, but they do beer better than anyone. It's like, it's just do what you do best, and that's what Four Peaks does. Hey, and they're no slouches in the kitchen as well. Delicious food at the H Street location. Go get some appetizers. Go get those chicken rolls. Go get some garlic cheese beer bread. Go get yourself a garlic cheese and Italian beef roll there at Four Peaks and get some dessert. And tell them Bo sent you. No, I don't know. They got their Valentine's Day menu coming up as well. $90 per couple. You can get $10 for beer pairings as well. Not bad. They're helping you out there. What beer goes best with that entree? They're going to hook you up. You got Four Peaks cookie and beer pairing. Unbelievable what they're doing over there. We're so pumped to continue our partnership with Four Peaks. Check them out in Tempe. You got to be 21 years old or older to enjoy the beer, but you don't have to be 21 to enjoy the vibes and the food.
You don't have to be 21 to see our interview with Patrick Peterson, although viewer discretion is advised. Not really, but we had a chance to catch up with Patrick Peterson, Arizona Cardinal legend, today on his stance on Kyler Murray, Steve Keim, and his relationship with the Valley, with the Arizona Cardinals. Here's what P2 had to say. Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock, joined by Arizona Cardinal legend Pat P. Patrick Peterson, thank you so much. Tell us what you've got going on with Circle K.
Oh, man. Man, we all know Circle K is a huge staple in the Arizona community. You see them on every corner. But why I love Circle K, we don't have to wait in those lines for coffee.
Yeah.
You know, Starbucks is always lying around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, so anytime they have this great facility right across the street from our facility when I was here in Tempe, and anytime I needed a fresh cup of coffee, never no one in line. Poured me up a nice hot cup on to my day of work.
Rock and roll.
Tough to beat. Tough to beat. Great for the morning commute. Great for any time. The convenience of Circle K. Patrick Peterson. Only got you a few minutes, so we got to get into it. I would say the Chappelle Show is one of the greatest shows of our generation.
I agree.
There's a great bit.
I agree.
Now, P2, wait where I'm going with this. All Things Covered, the podcast. Keeping It Real. Did it go wrong? You talking about K1, the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals?
You said keeping it real. Did it go wrong?
Yeah. When Keeping It Real goes wrong, you don't remember that bit from Chappelle Show?
No, I don't remember that one.
It's hilarious. You go back.
It's a good one. Basically,
I have to go back and watch that one. I don't remember that.
When you made your comments about Kyler Murray, do you stand by them? Did you have a chance to connect with K1 since those comments?
No, I haven't. But I stand by him.
Yeah. He's got some stuff to work on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
I mean, it's no secret.
Yeah. Well, let's focus on you because Steve Keim no longer associated with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
You've made it clear you've had some bumps in the road with Steve. Now that Steve is gone from the franchise, you're a Cardinal legend. Cardinal fans, including ourselves, want to see you back at some point in the Ring of Honor. We think you're going to be a future Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Do you foresee yourself back with the organization after your time's up, making good with the franchise?
I don't have a problem with the franchise.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with anyone in the franchise. I just had a problem with that one person.
Yeah.
On the way he handled the situation, with him saying he was going to do something that didn't happen, and then once I signed with another team, you want to connect with me then and talk about you love me, and I don't work like that. You know what I mean? So to me, that's where it was just an all-time slap in my face. Because all of I've done for the community, anytime for the organization. When you need a free agent, I could be out at dinner with my wife, with my kids at a movie. All right, babe, let me go try to solidify this signing for the team.
Yeah.
But when you go and do that, that's when I was like, oh, man, you're not a man, man. That's men don't do that.
Especially, it's disingenuous afterwards, right? Obviously, it's not a great look for any organization, but with that one person exiting this franchise, do you think it's inevitable that in a few years, you're going to be standing on that field again with your name in the Ring of Honor?
Man, I would love that. I always saw myself, being up there next to the Larrys, the Adrians, the Mr. Bidwell. I foresaw myself being up there. So, yeah, I can't wait. If that moment does happen, I can't wait for it to happen because this is where it all started. The fans, everybody in that organization know that I poured everything into trying to be the best player that I can be and try to bring a championship here. And obviously I fell short of it, but I tried to accomplish that goal.
Yeah. Patrick Peterson, Arizona Cardinal legend. We cannot wait to see him back someday at State Farm Stadium. Thank you so much, P2.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
When keeping it real goes wrong with Johnny and Bo Brock, I think he just didn't want to talk about Kyler Murray.
No, he didn't say. He didn't give us much. He did, add a little bit. He stands by his comments. He said he needs to work on things, and he said absolutely, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something that we've been talking about when there was the report that Kyler's deterring this coaching search. But I think a lot of people disagree with that sentiment. But he's not without his challenges. I don't think anybody disagrees with that, where you've signed this big-time extension and you're locked in for so much guaranteed dollars, and you saw the performance last year. So, I think no player in this league is a finished product. There's few from them except for the guy named Patrick Mahomes and the guy that just retired in Tom Brady. But, he absolutely has things to work on. But he didn't backpedal as much as he did day 2 after his comments on his podcast, all things considered. But, you have to take what you hear from P2 with a grain of salt. Chappelle Show's a great show, and he said, yeah, but he doesn't know one of his biggest bits.
Well, and we thought we'd get a little bit more time with Patrick. We only got about 3 minutes, and so we tried to cut to the chase of what people want to talk about. There was no way we were not going to go through that little spiel and not talk about Steve Keim. I thought it was an interesting point that he made about Keim calling him to do some recruiting, whether it be free agents. I'm sure Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu's relationship came into play a lot. And so I agree with Patrick in the sense that, he benefited Steve Keim a lot during his tenure. It's the most successful draft pick of the Cardinals in the last 10 years. It wasn't made by Steve Keim. It was made by Rod Graves. But even so, he leaned on Steve Keim and vice versa. And then in the end, when things got messy, I think Steve Keim was poison to this franchise. I think we can all agree on that. I think Patrick was a little bit unrealistic about his market post-30, fresh off of a PED pop, and then also going scorched earth on the franchise trying to get a trade. So everybody makes mistakes. And I think now, he's not going to come out and ever apologize and say, I wish I would have handled things differently. But I do think it would be in disservice of the franchise not to be able to move forward and get his number or his name up in the rafters at State Farm Stadium. Because if you're not putting if you're not putting Patrick Peterson in the Ring of Honor, who are you putting in the Ring of Honor?
Well, I mean, and this show maintains that 2011 through 2017, he was one of the greatest players in franchise history.
Yeah,
nobody can disagree with that. But once you request a trade, then you can't be mentioned. You kind of disqualify yourself from being mentioned, like he said, in the same sentence as Larry Fitzgerald, as Adrian Wilson, guys that put in their dues and were utmost professionals. And it was a shame. And, to your point as far as, we kind of agreed with his criticism of Steve Keim.
No
and
doubt.
I think a lot of you in the chat, too, who don't like Patrick Peterson and how he can't keep the Cardinals out of his mouth. I agree with that because he was saying some things that we agreed with on Steve Keim, but then he would put in these other things that
weren't relevant.
Yeah, they weren't relevant, like taking shots and slandering Kyler Murray, which I'll continue to disagree with that. It really is unfortunate, but, time does heal all wounds. The more he gets away from his tenure here, the more that we get away from Steve Keim's tenure here, I think that you'll see a day in Glendale where you can honor Patrick Peterson. I mean, think about all the electric moments with P2.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
Before he became P3, Petty Patrick Peterson, another thing that we didn't have time to get into.
I think we need to be transparent about people in the chat saying Bolden should be next. Like, Anquan Bolden should absolutely be in the Ring of Honor. Don Coryell, who just got into the Hall of Fame yesterday, should be in the Ring of Honor.
He got a bust in Canton
before he got a Ring of Honor with the Arizona Cardinals. So I think that we can give out blame to just about everybody in these situations. Patrick Peterson, Steve Keim, probably Michael Bidwell and company. But I think where Michael has had success compared to his late father is he's been much more player friendly. And the instances we've heard of some toxicity in the organization with players leaving has been around one person, and that's Steve Keim. And Steve Keim's not a part of this organization anymore professionally, and that's a good thing. It's also a good thing when we got Josh Weinfuss, our guy from ESPN, giving us the lowdown, the very latest on the Arizona Cardinals' ongoing head coaching search. Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock, live Super Bowl 57 Radio Row. Of course, our guy Josh Weinfuss making some time for us, ESPN insider, NFL reporter, specifically with our Arizona Cardinals. And it's funny, Josh, we sit here Friday before the Super Bowl. There's no head coach. There's no talk of a head coach. They had 2 interviews this week, like second, third, headline behind Kevin Durant. Like, what's going on with this team?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think anybody knows. I don't know. I'm not surprised we haven't heard a lot about the head coach just because it is such a busy week and Michael Bidwell's so busy, as part of the host committee and all that stuff. I would not be shocked if the NFL said, hey, why don't we just not do anything until after the whole week's over. But, like you said, 2 more interviews this week. Mike Kafka and Lou. I always get it.
Anarumo.
Thank you, Anarumo.
I say armadillo, but I probably won't
complete
go well.
disrespect.
I'm just going to call him Lou, just like we call Kyler.
Yeah.
So just Lou. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some other names on Monday.
So you're in that camp that there could still be more talk on Monday?
I think there could be.
Okay.
I think there could be, and I think if there is, everything's going to move very fast with that. But I would not be surprised if it's – I've heard, all week it's been I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, it's going to be Kafka. Then a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be Lou. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to stand in the middle and you just tell me when I need to be at a press conference. Because
well, it's really interesting because I don't know how much research you've done on Mike Kafka, but it really does. And somebody, a lot of people are saying it's tired. It's kind of a lazy argument to say his comp is Cliff, but I can't get away from it. I mean, you're going with the up-and-coming play caller, young, right, 35 years old. He's a guy that 1-year coordinator, right? Yep. You don't know a whole lot about him, and the Arizona Cardinals would be getting in earlier rather than at the right time or too late.
I would not put his comp as Cliff.
Okay.
I would not.
Okay.
I would not. Because for a variety of reasons. One, he had somewhat of a career in the NFL.
Yeah.
He was on the Chiefs staff for a while. He was a pass game coordinator, quarterbacks coach. So he had worked with these guys for a while. Here's the other thing. He coached Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Like Cliff, but at a totally different level. And he basically turned Daniel Jones into a pretty dang good quarterback, right? So I would not go as far as making Cliff his comp.
He's okay.
Who?
DJ.
DJ.
He's a playoff
He's
quarterback.
better than he was.
He won a playoff game.
Yeah.
He coached 2 playoff quarterbacks, right? It's more than, well, I guess Cliff can say he coached a playoff quarterback, but I would not make that.
Kind of.
He was
Nobody
the pride
watched
of
that game
the
and thought it was
2019 quarterback class this year. Let's just say
Let's
that
not talk
as far
about
as
that.
Danny Dimes.
Here's what I do want to talk about. So everybody, I think, has come to the conclusion that whomever they hire is going to be slightly underwhelming because they went after kind of the big fish with Peyton, but then our brothers at DMVR, they scooped him up. But the Broncos, they went after big fishes. Harbaugh, Peyton, that's not the sandbox the Cardinals played in. So okay.
Well, it is. They did go after them. They just didn't get them.
Sure. Yeah.
So they were playing in that sandbox, but they were kicked out of that sandbox
by a bigger kid.
Right. It's like the big kids came in. They were like, "All right, guys, thank you for your time.
Go play on that dirt hill over there." So let me ask you this, because I think most people can talk themselves into Kafka or Lou or whomever, even a Gannon. The Vance Joseph thing is interesting because they have lost, as of today, 4 defensive coaches. Matt Burke goes and becomes the DC in Houston. Vance is just sitting around in Tempe waiting for a decision. If you had to say right now,
I'm going to hedge myself, but it's hard, right? Because if you hire Lou, he's not. If you hire Kafka, he is. So and I'm right down the middle with I don't know who they're going to hire, but it's looking like they are going to keep him on the staff because if they weren't going to, if they were going to say you go do your own thing, we'll find another DC, they would have let him go right at the beginning of all this.
Yeah.
They owe him I heard like $3 million a year.
Okay, that's news to us.
Michael doesn't always want to pay those buyouts, so it's
also who are you going to get to be your coordinator if you hire an offensive head coach?
Well, okay, so here's the thing about assistants in the NFL. They all have this book, right? And they all, throughout their career, they write down everything they like about head coaches. They write what their strategies want to be. They keep track of how they want to handle their schedules, and they also keep a roster of assistants they would hire. So most guys have a 2 or 3 deep. Where here's my dream roster of coaches if I ever become a head coach, and then from there it's if I don't get this guy, it's this guy or this guy. It looks like a
a big board.
Like a big board. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Mike Kafka has a defensive coordinator in mind.
Okay.
For in an ideal world, but we're also looking at February it's February 10th.
Right.
No one is going to be in place until about February 12th or 13th. Well, 13th or 14th or 15th by this point. How many guys are going to be available? That's kind of the big issue in my eyes. Is this is taking so long. So many other assistants aren't going to be around for them to be hired. So I do expect him to be here, just simply because I think that they don't want to pay the buyout.
That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy that you're willing to pay the buyout of Cliff, who's making, just via reports or just figuring out who's making the most and where he fits into that after an extension, anywhere from 5.5 to 7.5, right? So you're looking at close to $40 million that you paid out, and then you're going to balk at the 3+ that you owe Vance?
I don't think he ever wanted to fire Vance Joseph, though. You watch the Hard Knocks stuff.
Michael?
Yeah, he loves Vance Joseph. It's his
and so do the players.
Sure.
So do the players.
Well, so I talked to Zaven Collins at the Phoenix Open when he was
caddying.
GT was caddying, and he said he and Buda Baker went to Michael and said hire Vance.
Wow, as a head coach?
As a head coach. So I think here's the other thing that's going to be interesting. If you bring in Mike Kafka and you keep Vance as your DC, and you have all these guys who are loyal to Vance, you already have a split locker room.
Right. You need a fresh start.
Or you're going to have the same situation you had with Cliff, where you're going to have an offensive head coach and a defensive head coach.
Right.
That's not going to win.
Well, Lou Anarumo, we did look this up. We got tipped off by one of our viewers, was the DB coach for Vance Joseph when he was in Miami as the defensive coordinator.
He could keep him on too.
Right.
Then.
He becomes your default DC, but it's Lou's defense. And I think that would be easier for Cardinal fans to get their arms around. Lou's in charge of the defense. Jonathan Gannon's in charge of the defense. Whereas the Kafka dynamic, to me, is just so parallel to what they had. You think Mike Kafka is going to outcoach Kyle Shanahan next year or the year after? You think he's going to go head-to-head with Pete Carroll? We've seen that before. I just don't think Kafka has enough life experience, coaching experience to clean up. And everybody wants to focus on, we got to get somebody to fix Kyler. You were on the team more than anybody. Everything needs fixed. The entire culture of the team.
Now, hold on. Something that's really interesting with all the contracts and the buyouts is like every coach's contract has offset language.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really, they're not going to be paying Cliff $30 million.
Right.
Wherever he goes, when he takes his year off,
Right.
probably and comes back in 24, he'll make $3 million. Whatever. The Cardinals only owe him 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it's not as bad as we think it is. But back to your point now, like, yes, everything needs fixing. They have a lot of great skill players. Like, I'm impressed with the skill portion of this roster. It's everything else that needs improvement. The offensive line.
Yeah, the trenches.
You need depth. I mean, Steve Keim was all but checked out last season. So, like everyone who wants to put last year on Kyler, I'm like, well, you lost for most of the season. You're playing with one starter on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And your GM was doing nothing to give you.
He was MIA.
Yeah.
You told us that.
Like he was doing nothing to rebuild that depth. Your defensive line needs help now that J.J. Watt's gone. Your pass rush needs. I mean, they were relying on some guys last year to be the core of their pass rush who are not starters.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is, right? Like,
they had no business playing.
They're right. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to this roster. But I think the more I think about it just now, like, that could be interesting. Like, you hire Lou and you keep Vance as your DC. Like, that means Lou's going to be more of the CEO of the franchise, which is exactly kind of what this team needs right now.
Right.
I just hope that there's less of a reluctance to play young guys, especially on that side of the football, because we saw in Isaiah Simmons' first season under Vance, there wasn't a whole lot of PT, right? Not a whole lot of snaps. Definitely not for Zaven Collins, but he played 100% of the snaps the bulk of the season this year. We know what happened with Isaiah. I would have loved it. We were chasing Isaiah Simmons down. We never got to talk to him, what his thoughts were on BJ potentially staying.
Yeah,
if he would embrace that.
I don't think he went up to Michael Bidwell and said, make Vance Joseph the head coach.
But it's interesting, like, I mean, how the fan base would react if it's VJ as DC, and would he reassume the role as the head coach of the defense if it's a Mike Kafka and he's got the offense? Like, is that much of a level up from the previous regime? Plus, you've got VJ now with arguably the most respected guy that just took the DC job in Houston and Matt Burke, and probably the unit that played the best as far as that defense goes. You know, how is it a good thing that he has to retool his defensive coaching staff on the fly, or is it a bad thing? Because of the performance last year.
At this point, it's a bad thing. Like, I keep going back to who's left.
Right.
Who are you going to find now who are the guys that A, you want, and B, are probably good coaches that you're going to be able to hire?
Well,
right?
Kafka especially. Lou Anarumo, I think there's hope that maybe they could cherry pick some Bengal assistants, right?
Totally.
I think that gives you new life of, can you get the quarterback coach to come and be your OC, where there's talk about a connection there. Go take a couple assistants from your defense in Cincinnati and bring, like Mike Kafka, the contacts he has. I mean, I'm waiting to be proven wrong on, go get a big experience, big boys, because Cliff didn't have contacts. Keim built that defensive staff for him.
Well, he built the whole staff.
Yeah.
For him. And, I mean, this is interesting, right? So you're going to have the third head coach that you build a staff for?
Yeah.
They did it for Steve Wilkes. He brought over Al Holcomb. They had Mike McCoy waiting for him, who was gone by Thanksgiving. You did that for Cliff. What? I mean, at what point are head coaches, are coaches going to look at Arizona and be like, I want my people here?
Right.
Bruce brought everybody.
Yes.
Everybody.
Stark difference
Free
between
agents,
him. Yeah.
Coaches. Let me ask you my last question. Do you think this is a move that is predicated on Michael Bidwell's approval, or do you think Monty Ossenford is truly going to pick this coach?
No, it's Michael's. Michael has told people it's going to be his pick. Like, Monty can interview whoever he wants when Michael's making the decision.
It's wild. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's become a vicious circle as far as every 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
1 year with Steve Wilkes, who's now the DC in San Francisco. He's probably licking his chops looking at this Cardinals roster right now and the state of it, the organization. Josh Weinfuss, follow him on Twitter. Of course, read his work, ESPN.com. Josh, always great to catch up with you. I hope I'll see you next week at a press conference, but I'm not so sure.
There's always St. Patrick's Day.
I just hope it's sooner rather than later. I'm ready for this to be over.
This insight from our buddy, friend of the program, Josh Weinfuss, ESPN NFL insider, specifically with the Arizona Cardinals, Bo. And I think so much good stuff to unpack from Josh. Specifically what stood out to me, and we just posted this to PHNX Cardinals, was the fact that Zaven Collins and Budda Baker went to Michael Bidwell at the end of the year and said, we want Vance Joseph. Not as just the DC moving forward, but the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And that's since kind of been dismissed by Michael. But the fact that he's still around, I think, gives merit to the people wondering if Vance Joseph is going to remain on staff.
Yeah, I would bet you find a split, though. I mean, as far as who is pro VJ and who's not. But, I mean, look, that's one of the not a kept secret.
Yeah.
Once this coaching search began, VJ emerged as one of the favorites right out of the gates just because when insiders would talk to these players and who they wanted, they probably don't get caught up in the rumors like you and I do, and a lot of people in the chat do about the Sean Paytons, the Jim Harbaughs, the DeMeco Ryans of the world. They know what they know.
Yeah.
And Zaven Collins, after being very little used in his first season, he was playing 100% of the snaps most games for the Arizona Cardinals.
Joining us now live, Pat McAfee of the Pat McAfee Show.
Oh, man.
Impromptu.
Is he going to stand up?
You want to pull the chair over here, Pat? Thank you so much, brother. We're going to get Pat's mic hooked up here. Pat, I'm Johnny Venerable. This is my co-host, Bo Brock.
Bo Brock.
Thank you so much for hopping on with us.
A couple of your tweets, I heard.
Yeah.
About the squad.
About the squad. We appreciate the support. There's so much to get into.
Hold on. Were you the one that was coming after me?
No.
Okay, because I was asking them if that was the case.
That's Cardinals update, right?
Cardinals
you
update.
It's a burner, don't you?
That's Bidwell's burner. I genuinely believe that.
He watches the show, Cardinals update does.
Yeah.
Your show?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
your show.
He's a friend. He's a supporter of the show, but he's not us.
He doesn't get it. Like saying that terrible facilities aren't terrible does not make the Cardinals better at football. Like he's an actual Cardinals fan.
Yeah.
Wants the best for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So, whenever we say, hey, we've heard from numerous people that, the facilities, and we saw Hard Knocks.
Not good.
Right. We saw the facility. The facilities are
it's like Major League.
It's an obvious flaw of, the greatest city in America, a potential future greatest team in America. You're flying your plane to go pay J.J. Watt and everything like that, which is a great show. Take care of the facility. What are we talking about? What is even going on in the building? That's what everybody's at, especially when you sign a $110 billion media rights deal.
Yeah.
So, when we point those things out and then people from the fan base come at us, we're like, oh, you guys are doofuses. You guys have no idea.
Well,
we're trying to help the team.
I think it's a little bit of Stockholm syndrome as it relates to, there's a private jet that Michael Bidwell purchases for the team. And it's look at our private jet. We have a new
Stadium's nice.
Right. Mm-hmm. We host Super Bowls here. And, they do first class, the city of Phoenix and everything else. But why would we have bad facilities?
You shouldn't have bad. You guys have everything. This city is a city I'd like to retire in.
Wonderful.
I plan on living here. I love this place.
Yeah.
Your local laws are fantastic. The amount of things that your local laws allow me to take as an out-of-stater is better than every other state.
True.
The views are immaculate. The weather is fantastic. The team has a superstar of the future.
Yeah.
And then you see Hard Knocks, you hear everything why are they letting it? And then you think about the Coyotes.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened with the Coyotes? It's what the hell is going on in Phoenix? Can we not take care of what we have?
Should we start a GoFundMe or something?
No, they're billionaires.
Yeah.
They should take care of it themselves. But I love Phoenix. I'm very happy that the Super Bowl is out here.
Yeah.
You guys don't have a coach, though.
No, we don't. Do you think it's ridiculous that we're
We don't have a coach either.
But is that on purpose? Because it's on purpose by the Cardinals. They're putting their coaching search aside to host this, which I appreciate, but I don't love as a fan. Because get the best staff, get the best people. Is that what Indy's doing? You feel like?
So it feels like good business to invest in the Super Bowl in your city and put other things aside. Good business also take care of the facilities, but I don't want to go back and harp on that.
Right.
That seems like good business for us. I'm worried that we just have no idea. You know what I mean?
Have you applied yet?
No, I am not a coach.
No.
But
That's a lot of time.
You've been dialed into this search. I mean, because all the things that you said
13 people we interviewed.
about this franchise in this state and this city, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's appealing to everybody. It should be. Do you have the sense that if they had upgraded the facilities, they'd have a coach in place?
Like Sean Payton. Did Sean Payton say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and that was something he didn't do? Or was he planning on going to the Broncos since the beginning because he respected the ownership group and liked the way who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whenever you're at some place for however long you are and it doesn't work out, it's well, what is it? Because obviously going in, Kyler's the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You know that you have some talent on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, what? D-Hop wants out, but he's still in a contract, so maybe you can win him back. So what is it? And I think that's what the questions are. Just what is it? Why do people not want to come here?
What are you hearing about Kyler Murray in general? Because, we're all boots on the bad things, good things in between.
I don't know what I've heard.
Are you a K1 guy yourself? You sound like
I love him.
Yeah.
I love K1.
He's electric.
Electrifying.
Yeah.
He does things that nobody else can do, and obviously his size adds to the optics of how sweet it looks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's like undersized, shaking the hell out of people. It's just like visually, it's awesome.
Yeah.
To kind of watch. So I'm a big K1 fan. It was alarming to me, the film study thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The clause?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never happened again. Why are we being known? Like, why is it being made public that it exists? Obviously, Kyler was not happy that was either in there or made public.
Right.
So I think that could potentially cause a little bit of friction between what was going on. But, like, that shouldn't be a question at all for a franchise quarterback. And I think we all know that as NFL fans, like, your quarterback has to be smarter than the other team because everybody's talented. So, like, that scared me a little bit, but Kyler can also continue to grow and evolve and get better and better, which I think he will do.
Yeah, under a new coach. And maybe, like, if he went to a different franchise that had a more experienced coach that could help him. I remember he had no veteran leadership at the quarterback position when he got here. People kind of complain, Cliff Kingsbury a little bit of an enabler. Do you think, a veteran head coach with more experience can get more out of Kyler?
Are you worried about a defensive coach?
No, they just need a 53-man leader of men at this point.
Okay, interesting, because I like that. Because I got a friend who's a Lions fan who's just like, just want to make it to the playoffs. Just want to make it to the playoffs. You're like, just give me a leader of 53 men. If you have success and your offense does well, your coordinator's getting plucked. You got to find that again. You know what I mean? So, like, I think defensive coaches are up against it right now, getting hired as head coaches. But, like, everybody loves Lou Anarumo.
Yeah.
Everybody that's ever played for Lou Anarumo loves him. I assume he's going to be an accountability-driven coach, and everybody's going to, like, take attention. But I think an offensive coach is just what we assumed Kyler would want or have.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's looking that way, I guess. But, hey, it could all work out. Every coach could be the next Belichick. We have no idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? We honestly have no idea.
He seems to be the exception to everything, though. I mean, it's like we want the next Belichick, but are you willing to do what it takes to kind of wait that out and find that genius, like that under-the-radar genius?
He's also the GM, too.
Right.
They got Arians, the last hire in 2013. I think they're hoping that this delayed coaching search, they end up with another Bruce Arians.
So Bruce Arians interviewed with Chicago that year.
Yeah.
They gave the job to the Canadian guy.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Mark Trestman.
And then you guys played Chicago.
Yeah.
You're up 2 scores.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, BA's like, no risk and no biscuit. We're going deep on these fools because they didn't hire me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did that against us, too, the Colts.
Yeah.
Because I'm not 100% sure, and I'll let Bruce tell the story. This is all just like kind of rumor, hearsay around the Colts building. Like, allegedly, he didn't want to go be a head coach somewhere because he was fired from the Steelers. He was retired.
Yeah.
Then Chuck Pagano brings him out of retirement
Yeah.
to come coach for the Colts. Wanted to coach for the Colts, allegedly, at whatever job because he was interim head coach, just some sort of new contract.
Yeah.
And allegedly, we wouldn't give it to him. So then he goes to become the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. So he's obviously jaded against the Colts. Even though we brought him out of retirement, we loved him.
Yeah.
He beats the hell out of us. Chicago Bears, he does that thing. But BAA is one of one. There's an anomaly.
Yeah.
You just got to hope you find another one of those, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be tough to do. Not easy to coach in the NFL.
No, it's not. I mean, and you have him as the winningest head coach in Arizona Cardinals history now after all that's said and done.
How about that?
We do this at
Did
often.
you know that?
Of course I did.
Me too. Me too.
We've been fortunate to have Rap Sheet on this show. We call him a friend of the program. You came over here impromptu.
It's 5 p.m.
Are we?
The last day of Radio Row.
Is
and
it
Pat
fair to
McAfee's here.
say that Pat
Come on, I was
McAfee-
going to leave, but, I mean, your people gave me a shout-out, and they said we've been using your tweets. So I wanted to come over and say thank you.
Yeah.
mostly,
Thank you.
For your
Appreciate
service
you.
to football, man.
So that officially makes Pat McAfee a
Friend of the program?
Absolute.
Hey, we'd love to be a friend of the program. Phoenix, love the place.
We appreciate you.
You guys got one of the greatest towns, like, in the history.
Yeah. We got great people here, too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I think Phoenix is a good place.
What goes the craziest in Phoenix, in your opinion? I mean, the restaurants, you got the waste management out here.
Hey, thank you so much. I was at the Waste Management the other day.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew what I was signing up for.
You did 16, did you?
I did the Shot of Glory, yeah. I showed up right after doing the show. And I had a couple of these, like, there's little sugar treat things that I purchased at a local store.
OGs?
And I think I had too many of those.
Sure, that happens.
And then I go straight from show right into that stadium. And I was like, I was mind blown about what's going
You
on there.
performed at WrestleMania, though. You've gotten.
Yeah, but that's a golf tournament, dude. That place is awesome.
Yeah.
You guys should be very proud of what that was amazing. That was Wednesday, filled up, packed out, very boozed up. I mean, it was It was a good time. I love everything about it. I honestly do. I rent houses when I come out here, though, and I just kind of stay in the house, stare at the mountains, do my thing.
Kingsbury's place while he was out of town?
I offered it. I'm actually potentially going to be the purchaser of that place.
Nice.
He said he's going to have to grossly overcharge me, though, because that's real estate out here, I guess.
It is.
In Arizona.
It's Paradise Valley. It doesn't get better than
Oh,
that.
PV.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about PV.
You going to leave the lion paintings?
In the house?
Yeah,
for sure. And the cocaine that he has stored clearly underneath the couch. But I love this city, honestly, and thank you for your contributions. We've obviously benefited from it, and thank you for having me on.
I tweet too.
No,
just Cardinals information, just FYI.
And what's up with that Cardinals update? This is just like when the Bengals fans were coming at us.
We're PHNX Cardinals.
PHNX.
PHNX Sports Part of All City.
Hell yeah.
Doesn't get better than that.
So, like, we turned our attention to the Bengals not having an indoor facility. Got real loud about it.
Take care of us.
Got real loud about it. Had Bengals, just like your fans are doing, attacking us, right? Like, why are you coming after the Bengals? We don't need it. We're tougher than everybody. And then Super Bowl week last year, big snowstorm comes in. They had to wait for field hockey and lacrosse to get done with the University of Cincinnati bubble.
Yeah.
And then they went in there and practiced. So it was like on the biggest stage, it showed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now they have an indoor facility. We feel as if we are a small part of that indoor facility being taken place. We have turned our attention towards the Arizona Cardinals practice facility.
Thank you, guys.
You hold
What do
them
you know that
accountable.
you're a billionaire, bro. You're making a lot of money. There's no reason for this to be a trash facility. This is Phoenix, Arizona. You got Kyler Murray. Let's win.
Let's be first class.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's win.
We're first class. We got Pat McAfee on.
No, that makes it trash class. But you are a first class operation, so thank you for allowing me to join you guys.
Appreciate
Have a good one, okay?
Thanks, man.
PHNX,
Thank you.
I'm going to get out of here.
Awesome.
See you guys. Hell of a week. Congrats to Phoenix on hosting incredibly. You too. You look super professional.
Oh, thanks, brother.
What about me?
Don't tweet either.
Great stuff.
We
from Pat
had other
McAfee.
stuff planned. It doesn't get much better than that.
No, it doesn't. That's a exclamation point, as they call, to a great week here out on Super Bowl Radio Row.
I got to do some reads, but first I want to say big thanks to our GM Saul Bookman, head of social media, Miss Michaela, for getting that done.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We appreciate all of you for hanging out with us, and hopefully you enjoyed that. I
mean, one of the things that makes Phoenix, Scottsdale, everything great. Octane Raceway Mavericks. I'm sure that a guy like Pat McAfee would love to go tear it up on the course right there.
Hang on, Saul. We got to do some ad reads real quick.
Let's pay some bills here, but talk about a great place to go take the family, hang out, get a cold one, watch the game, have some fun. You got something going on every week at Octane Raceway Mavericks. Monday, you got the $15 unlimited fun pass. You got the winning Wednesday half price, 50% off taco trios on Tuesday. Thursday, big bucket Thursday, $20 beer buckets. Trivia night going on Friday. That's a good place to go tonight.
Yep.
If you're looking for a place for the big game as well, they've got some packages right now. They still have packages. 4K television, dozens of them at Mavericks. You got 5,000 square feet restaurant featuring chef-curated menu. All the food goes crazy there. Enjoy the Super Bowl experience at Mavericks. Book in advance at mavericks.com/thebiggame. Also, let's talk about our friends over at More Furniture.
Of course.
You want to, of course, pimp out what you got going on in the living room, the dining room, your kids' room, your bedroom set. Go find some great furniture for your pad and do it for a great price. You get the white glove delivery as well. You can get everything you want delivered to you and put in place wherever you want it. Get that feng shui that you want at morefurniture.com. Easiest way to log on and go to morefurniture.com. You can check out, of course, their store, 44th Street, McDowell. Save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Now we have the GM Saul Bookman. Tough act to follow.
The sealer
after
of
Pat
deals.
McAfee.
Dude, you guys have no fucking idea what just happened. He's over here talking to some guy, I don't even know. And Drew Brees is right behind Michaela.
Nice.
And I was like, and I had to get in. That was the moment. I get in, I'm like, Pat, you use our tweets all the time. You use Johnny Venerable. I had to pump up Johnny Venerable. He was like, Johnny, who? Johnny who? Venerable, Venerable. And as he's coming over here, he's like, Johnny Venerable, Johnny Venerable. He's like repeating it in his mouth. And Drew Brees is back like, Pat.
Sorry, Drew.
Pat.
We're not
like,
sorry.
we totally cock-blocked Drew Brees. It was the best thing I've ever done in my life. And thank you to Michaela Perkins.
Yes,
yeah.
Michaela Perkins.
She also like she acted like as a buffer. She was like a bouncer.
Yeah,
in
she
the
was
club.
the lead block to get Drew Brees out. The Pat McAfee in for PHNX Cardinals. Incredible. I mean, it's just like you put a bow on this week. It's been fantastic. We've had
that's a fucking exclamation point.
Yes.
Right there.
We've had the best team in place. Shane Diefenbach, one of my best friends, no longer my best friend exclusively, but one of my best friends, doing our vlog work. Fantastic. Producer Emma has not stepped away from her laptop in about 72 hours. Michaela, Saul, everybody doing a fantastic job. Ryan helping us out, getting live walk-in talks. I mean, it takes a village, and we appreciate all the kind words. We see them on social media, in our DMs. PHNX, All City, we're here to stay, and that's because of all of you.
Listen, the stars of the show, you guys.
No.
Like, listen, the amount of work that people don't realize that you two put in really in making laps, trying to really get every single possible guest possible. It just is phenomenal. And folks, you guys are so lucky to have these two individuals running PHNX Cardinals and really producing the type of content that you guys deserve. Fucking shout out to you two. You guys are like two of the best in the business, hands down. I'm not even being biased. It's just fucking a fact.
We appreciate that, man. What do we even do from here? What do you want me to do? You want to do Kyle Brant?
Yeah, let's do that.
We talked to Kyle Brant earlier today. Here's what our guy from Good Morning Football had to say about the Cardinals.
You never know who you're going to see out here on Radio Row, but we expected to see the great Kyle Brant.
Yes.
So where's the scepter? Where's the angry run?
I gave it away last night. It's the angry run of the year. It went to Damian Pierce on the Texans. So I don't have it's the first thing the Texans have won in years. I don't have it for you guys. I'm sorry. I prefer a much more winning franchise like the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, that's right.
4 wins last season, 1 home win in the last 16 months. But let's put that on the shelf.
Remember when they won the Super Bowl when they had a Hail Mary against the Bills that one time and you guys had a parade and like a banner? I feel like it's all been downhill since then. The Hail we even branded it. That was a great play.
Yeah, the pandemic here, mid-season with no fans.
That was something.
So let's talk about Kyler Murray real quick, Kyle. So he's taking a lot of shots here at Radio Row and the media. What advice would you give Kyler Murray right now if you talk to him?
Man, I want to know what Cliff is doing right now because I know it's not coaching Kyler. He's probably catching some big fish.
Right. Yeah.
We already hammock somewhere. Is he back?
Yeah, he's back.
I bet he leaves again soon. Kyler, listen, I'm not in any position to give him advice. I would say this, that like if you were ever going to get a black hat, chip on your shoulder, screw you mentality about I'm going to show everybody, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the last chance. It wasn't apparently when it was the study clause. It wasn't here. It wasn't here. Now it's like everyone's turning on you. The coach is fired. Everyone says you're yesterday's news. Get mad. Get pissed. Throw a 90-yard touchdown on the first play of the game next year. I would love to see it. We love a comeback story, especially someone as talented as Kyler. So if there was ever a time to be motivated, this is it.
We love Kyle Brant, especially wearing the big unit throwback
51.
hat.
Pretty cool, right?
Building the Phoenix PHNX sports community.
You love to see our guy Kyle Brant repping the Valley with the Diamondbacks jersey?
Yeah, the big unit. Of course, the 2001 World Series uniform.
Yeah.
Goes
Fantastic.
pretty hard. Goes pretty hard. So we follow up. Sandwiched in between is GM Saul Bookman, but Pat McAfee and Kyle Brant, some of the more electric personalities football has.
Yeah, and they're out here hanging with us. All of you are hanging out. I want to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy, one of our favorite sponsors, partners, friends of the program. Underdog Fantasy, I don't know if you guys know this or not, they do fantasy sports differently. Ahead of Super Bowl 57, there's no better time to rip the Band-Aid off, pivot off a year-long fantasy, and go exclusive with daily fantasy. If you want to dabble on the NBA before Super Bowl 57, Underdog Fantasy's got you covered. You can draft your team against 5 of your friends. The highest scoring squad for the night wins that cold, hard cash. You can draft up to 6 NBA players with no positional limits. That is it. I mean, we're going to be able to play on Underdog Fantasy here, Bo, in about a month's time with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. How
Look at
about
these
it?
specials they got going on for the Super Bowl.
What they
right
got
now,
going?
if you get the Underdog Fantasy app and you look at the higher lower, how about this seems like it's attainable. How about 0.5 total yards for Jalen Hurts? That's
Yeah.
a big fat winner. So is 0.5 receptions for Devontae Smith. So you've already got yourself rolling pretty much to get yourself in a position to win some money on Underdog Fantasy app. We got our main underdog, Shane Diefenbach.
Underdog Fantasy Super Bowl special tomorrow at, I believe, 5 p.m.
Super Bowl special tomorrow at 5 p.m. on PHNX Sports, so make sure you're subscribed. But you can't go wrong. So when you start to stack up those higher lowers, hit the higher on those 2 and then find maybe 3 more, and you can turn a little money into a lot of money thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy.
UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Sign up with promo code You guessed it, PHNX. Get this, Underdog Fantasy is going to match your first deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get out $100. Do it now with our friends at Underdog Fantasy. What a week.
Unbelievable. Beyond grateful for the team that we are blessed to have here, from our friends over at DMVR to, of course, locally PHNX and then CHGO who were in here. Just an incredible group of people, everybody working behind the scenes here at Radio Row, everybody that tuned in to any of our shows, listened to our podcast. We're so thankful and grateful for those. Just maybe shout out here, quick Academy Award acceptance speech, but Shane, Emma, Allie, RK, Saul Bookman, Mac, RG, Zach with the NVR, of course, Henry, our friends Adam and Keim,
Brandon.
and Brandon, of course,
Yep.
and Nick, the whole crew out here. Unbelievable work. It really was spectacular, and to end it on this high of a note, it doesn't get any better.
You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and we are so very blessed because of everybody here and because of all of you. You have helped make us, I think, one of the most downloaded Arizona Cardinal podcasts there is. We just are coming off our biggest month to date as a company in January. We're on pace to eclipse that and more in February.
We're just a couple wannabes, I thought.
A couple wannabes, a couple deplorables, but be sure to like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. It's funny, we're doing this. We don't have a head coach.
No head coach, but we talked to Patrick Peterson. That's going to be up. It's his own standalone video. Look for that. We talked to Rondale Moore. Look for that. Josh Weinfuss, we had a great lengthy conversation with the ESPN.com writer for the Arizona Cardinals. And then, of course, look for, I'm sure it's going to be up there, Pat McAfee.
The impromptu.
The king of YouTube. Joined us and talked about the Arizona Cardinals. Our guy Cardinals Update was going after him, and we understand that side of things, but we also understand where Pat and his crew are coming from. Trying to, like we do on this show, trying to hold this organization accountable.
That's right.
And that's the big thing.
We all have the same goal. We all
That's
love
right.
Phoenix. We all love the people of Phoenix, and we all love these players for the Arizona Cardinals. But it's time to go from here to here.
Yep.
And hopefully today was a small step in getting the Arizona Cardinals there. We're going to take a big step next week because by hook or by crook, we're going to have a head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to be live emergency podcast as we get information starting as early as Monday, post-Super Bowl 57. Bo could potentially be out at the Tempe facility come Tuesday, live, ready to go, speaking with the new head coach, whomever it may be. In the meantime, like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Everybody have a safe, happy, healthy Super Bowl 57 weekend. We'll see you on Monday.